All right, music fans, welcome back. Harmless Dave here, talking real music in real time for a few real people out there just like you and just like me. All right, so I was sent this CD, and I'm not even sure who sent it to me. This is serious. I know I talk to people and then I forget. Yeah, go ahead and send it to me. And they did. This is the Richrath Project 313. This band decided to pay tribute to Gary Richrath, his memory, his guitar playing style, his musical style. It's all right here. Check out the inner fold out here. Some great pictures of Gary and gentleman who founded this band. I believe it's Jans is his last name, and I might be saying that wrong. It could be Johns. It's Michael, I think. Anyway, they were close. They're good friends, and I believe he was Gary's best man, and I think he totally understood what Gary was about, and he's trying to keep the memory alive. This is interesting. It's called Richrath 313, and there's another band out there called Cimarron 615, which is trying to keep the memory of the band Poco alive. So this just proves that there are a ton of fans. They keep saying this music is dead, it's gone way, there's no market for it, and radio is going to get even more repetitive, which is just a ridiculous way to deal with the music that really isn't coming back anytime soon. Let's just focus test more of it out of existence. Oh, they don't know that song. They won't like that song. You could do a whole format of albums that people have forgotten about. REO, like their early stuff, is 100% different, experimental, bluesy, hard rocking. This is a band that was born in the late 1960s, doing frat parties, that bar, just like a real bar band, and you had a guy who was very experimental on the keyboards. You had a bass player who was at times trying to be John Entwistle. You had a couple of singers before Kevin Cronin who were really, really good. Terry Luttrell being my favorite. And you could make an argument, hey, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you don't like all that commercial REO, take a look at these early REO albums. I don't have a problem putting in the High Infidelity lineup because you got Gary in there. You don't have Greg. You got Bruce Hall, who I think was replaced Greg because Greg was a little too progressive. And, again, Bruce had a look to himself. He was a bit of a pretty boy compared to Greg, and I think that influenced things. But yeah, I would consider at least putting in the High Infidelity lineup. That's what I would do. And I know that lineup, I think, was pretty consistent until the drummer, Alan Gratzer, left. And obviously Gary leaves, and you don't replace Gary. You try to cope with the loss of Gary and you move on, and you hire Dave Amato, who's a great guitarist, but this guy just in a different world, in a different league, and he should get recognition, whether that's through the Hall of Fame. I'm sure he's been inducted into some local, Hall of Fames or, institutions that are, just being honest about how great he is, and thinking, hey, we need to honor Gary Richrath. Maybe in Illinois, Peoria, I don't know, Champaign, wherever this band was popular, right? It's about Gary. Interestingly, this album is actually about LA. LA is mine. That's what it's called. LA is mine. And it's got some scenery here, some Hollywood scenery on there. Most of these musicians used to have to go to the West Coast in order to succeed, so it might be an allusion to that. I'm not sure. All I know is there won't be another Gary Richrath. That tension between himself and Kevin Cronin Kevin brings all of the folky ballad type songs, and Gary's like, you know what? I'm going to smash this and turn it into a rock and roll song. And that's exactly what happened. And I think that creative tension between those two guys was really productive for a very long time. I know Gary struggled with some personal demons, and I'm not sure he ever completely got through that. At 65, I mean, that's a young age to pass away at. Although in today's world, 65 is what? The new 90? I don't know, because all of these mystery circumstances, coincidences, as some people have sent me videos that say, look, another coincidence today, just another medical coincidence. Gary got out of here before all of this nonsense started to happen. So he probably knew what was going to happen and decided, hey, I've had enough. A lot of people missed all of this great stuff that's happened since 2019. But kudos to this band and other bands that want to keep the memory of great music alive. I do think this is a model for the future. I've been talking about this in other videos where classic rock fans, yeah, you can go ahead and clutch your old records, but you need a vehicle like this maybe to play some of that music and not, destroy it, or you've got a lot of these bands out there. Somebody sent me a link to a new song by the band Sweet. And yeah, I knew they were still going. I had heard a couple of things, I think, from last year. And I'm like, who's an original guy in this? And I think there was one original guy. And did it sound like Sweet? I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of tough to sound like Ballroom Blitz and Little Willie. It's not an easy sound to reproduce. But, you take a name, you take a brand, and you just keep going with it. That's really the philosophy of all this. I mean, those bands who gave themselves these, household names these days, they may have taken a little bit more time to pick a name if they had known that name would carry on in perpetuity, which it appears this is what's going to happen with a lot of these bands. Who knew, right? The golden era of rock and roll. And the band it's like a professional sports team. They come back next year. It's still the Detroit Lions, but they have a new team, or they've swapped out players. They got new players coming in, but the brand is still Detroit Lions. And REO Speedwagon or Journey or Foreigner or Kansas or REO, they come back and they've got new players, but they're still that brand. When it comes to music, though, I think you have to be true to the sound of the original band. And a lot of times today, that sound is very elusive, and you really have to use your imagination or consume, mass quantities of $18 beer to really, not be offended by some of the things that are happening on stage. So in any event, kudos to these guys. Yeah, they have a website here. I think I actually have the link. It is project313rocks.com. project313rocks.com. You can find out more about the relationship between Michael, I think it's Michael Jens, I might be saying it wrong, who is really the sort of the mastermind behind this, and his relationship with Gary Richrath, and why he decided to continue on with this. It just looks really cool. This is for the hardcore casual rock fan rather than the casual music fan that knows the most downloaded song. All right. It's a completely different audience. So check it out anyway. And if you can purchase one of these, this is way better than your typical coaster. All right. This folds out. You got great pictures of Gary. You set this on a table somewhere, and people are going to be impressed, especially the people who appreciate the late, great Gary Richrath. He was one of a kind. And I don't know if we're ever going to have this level of great musicianship again. on the scene at some point. I just don't know. My guess would be no, but I hope I'm wrong. And maybe if people start paying attention to this music again, more people will be inspired to be like these great guitar heroes of the past. All right, people. As usual, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Patreon for $1 a month. Please check out my interview with the great Joe Lynn Turner. Holy crap, Batman. That man is a smart man, and he's a good man. So don't watch it for me. Watch it to hear what Joe has to say. And check out Joe's new album. It's called Belly of the Beast, and it's spot on with what's going on in the world right now. All right, I am really done. See you soon.